printing of ballot papers, there has been back and forth. So yesterday we had from Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chair, saying they cannot cancel the tender that was awarded to Dubai-based Al Ghurair, saying the deal is already done. NASA leaders are saying, you need to cancel this tender. We are raising serious credibility issues to do with the tender, and maybe you need to cancel it. And then we've also heard from different political leaders on the same. So allow me to bring in Nelson Harvey. Nelson, good to see you. It's been a while. Huh?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Nelson is a lawyer, but he also understands a lot of political issues that happen in the country. Nelson, so the standoff involving the award of 2.5 billion ballot paper printing tender to Al Ghurair is pitting Jubilee and NASA on one hand. Should this even be politicized from the word go?
Now, the conduct and the entire process of an election is not only a political process, but it's also a judicial process. Now, political in the sense that the participant needs to garner sufficient support to ensure that they win. Judicial in the essence that it must conform to the requirements of the law. Now, as regards the arbiter of this process, the IEBC, the IEBC is under a constitutional mandate to ensure that the elections are free and fair.
And credible.
And credible. And you see, to that extent, they need to ensure that in the conduct of the election, it is not only the winner, but also the loser who perceives that justice has been done. Now, to that extent, there could be credible argument in the lamentation by the opposition that this tender that has been given to Al Ghurair could have been tainted. Now, that is insofar as that argument goes. But again, it must be understood that the IEBC is an independent constitutional commission. It has no obligation whatsoever to listen to NASA or to listen to Jubilee.
Really?
Exactly.
They're players, main players.
They are players. You understand? But they need to be given an opportunity just to air their views, but not to dictate their command. Now, we've seen so far a faction of the Jubilee and a faction of NASA purporting to give dictates and demands to IEBC. Now, this is not the point in time that they can give dictates to IEBC as regards this tender. And I think it's proper that we analyze the facts that have brought us to these circumstances. Now, by the time this matter reached court, Al Ghurair had been given that contract through a competitive process.
Yes.
And the only reason as to why the court annulled that tender is because the IEBC by then was not properly constituted for the reason that it didn't have commissioners.
So it had nothing to do with whether or not Al Ghurair was able to do this?
Exactly.
Okay.
There was no impropriety on the part of Al Ghurair. And even when the matter went to the Court of Appeal, the same affirmative decision as taken by the High Court was affirmed by the Court of Appeal. So to that extent, therefore, it cannot be said on the basis of the facts we have now that there is any impropriety on the part of Al Ghurair in performing this contract. Okay. But is there any impropriety on anybody else? There could be. In fact, the argument is that it is perceived that the Al Ghurair company of itself could be associated with certain individuals within the Jubilee administration. Okay,
listen. So Raila Odinga says Chiloba, actually NASA are making allegations. They're saying Ezra Chiloba, CEO IEBC, was in State House meeting which was attended by Al Ghurair Chief Executive Officer Aziz Al Ghurair. They also say that Al Ghurair has a long-standing relationship with top Jubilee officials, including which might have influenced the award of the tender. They also claim that Al Ghurair hosted top Jubilee officials in Dubai and also in Nairobi, where that tender was discussed.
I think these issues, if at all they are true, then they create a very bad dent on the part of the IEBC. But that said and done, the general view of the matter needs to be taken into consideration. We already have a contract that has been signed by Al Ghurair. Now, where is the impropriety? Is the impropriety on Al Ghurair? Is the impropriety on IEBC?
Okay, Harvey.
Yes,
so let's help our viewers. I'm even putting my phones aside. Listen. So let's put Jubilee aside.
Yes.
Let's put NASA aside. Let's deal with IEBC and Al Ghurair and the fact that we have very few days to the general election.
Yes.
So listening to you, you're saying this was initially awarded to Al Ghurair, but it was cancelled not because of impropriety on their side, but because IEBC was not properly constituted.
True.
We're good.
Yes.
Okay, pick up from there.
Now, as we speak, Parliament has already approved the budgetary allocation towards this contract. Now, but it cannot be said without any fear of contradiction that the entire process is pleasing to the parties, and that is the cause of the acrimony. But how is this acrimony to be resolved? You need to understand that amongst the key players in this contest, amongst Jubilee and NASA, there is equal measure of blame in interference with the IEBC process. In fact, NASA is claiming that Jubilee has had a relationship with Al Ghurair. Now,
okay.
On one hand, Jubilee is saying that NASA has had a relationship with
They're actually
the loser.
trading accusations on who has had an association with what company. Okay, listen, we are coming back to that conversation. Let's close over to Buhungu Stadium and listen